Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I have been watching this show for more years than I can count, and I have to admit that the latest developments surrounding Steffy have left me feeling entirely breathless and more than a little heartbroken. When I sit back and think about the sheer emotional weight of what is happening right now, I'm simply overwhelmed by the tangled web these characters are weaving. The idea that Steffy might actually be pregnant with Carter's baby is not just a shocking twist. It feels like a heavy, dark cloud descending over the lives of people we have grown to care about deeply. I find myself wondering how on earth we arrived at this tragic intersection of love, betrayal, and desperate yearning. It breaks my heart to see such destructive choices being made by characters who should know better by now. Evaluating Steffy's sudden magnetic pull toward Carter leaves me with so many complex questions and a deep sense of unease. Why, out of all the people in Los Angeles, would she find herself in the arms of Carter, especially at a time when he is navigating the agonizing pain of Daphne's inability to conceive? It feels as though Steffy is drawn to his vulnerability, perhaps stepping into a void that she had no business filling. In my opinion, this is not just a momentary lapse of judgment, it is a profound emotional failure. I cannot help but feel a deep sense of disappointment in Steffy, a woman who has already fought so hard to build a stable, loving life. Why does she constantly flirt with disaster when she has everything she could possibly want right in front of her? The mere thought of this pregnancy becoming a reality sends shivers down my spine because of the catastrophic consequences it carries. I look at Steffy and see a woman who is about to be crushed under the unbearable weight of her own guilt. She already has Sweet Kelly with Liam and Little Hayes with Finn, and the prospect of introducing a third father into this incredibly complicated family dynamic is simply mind-boggling. I honestly believe that Steffy is terrified, waking up in the middle of the night in cold sweats, realizing that this one reckless mistake could completely obliterate the beautiful family she has built. Her motivations for everything she does next will undoubtedly be driven by pure, unadulterated panic and a desperate need for self-preservation. My heart absolutely bleeds for Finn when I think about the devastating blow that is heading his way. I have always admired Finn for his unwavering loyalty, his gentle nature, and the pure, unconditional love he has poured into his marriage with Steffy. To imagine this good, faithful man discovering that his wife has betrayed him in the most intimate way possible with another man is almost too painful for me to bear. I predict that this revelation will break something fundamental inside Finn, shattering the trust that forms the very foundation of his worldview. Will he ever be able to look at Steffy the same way again, or will the ghost of Carter's touch forever haunt the halls of their home? And then there is Daphne, sweet Daphne, whose current situation brings tears to my eyes every time I think about it. Dealing with the heartbreak of infertility is an agonizing journey that tests the strongest of souls, and Daphne has been carrying that heavy burden with such grace. To have that profound grief compounded by the ultimate betrayal, her loving partner Carter sleeping with her very own best friend, is a cruelty I cannot even begin to fathom. I feel a deep, burning anger on her behalf. How does a woman survive the dual trauma of a failing body and a shattered friendship? It makes me wonder if Daphne will completely close her heart off to the world after this. This brings me to the absolute most shocking part of this entire ordeal, which is the rumor that Steffy might actually offer to give this baby to Daphne and Carter to raise as their own. When I first pondered this, I was struck dumb by the sheer audacity and the twisted, heartbreaking logic of it all. In my view, Steffy is grasping at straws, desperately trying to find a magical eraser to wipe away the ugly stain of her infidelity. She somehow thinks that by gifting this child to the woman she wronged, she can balance the cosmic scales and buy her way out of guilt. I cannot help but view this as a deeply selfish act dressed up as the ultimate sacrifice. Let us truly analyze the psychology behind Steffy's proposed arrangement, because it reveals so much about her current state of mind. She is terrified that keeping this baby and being forced to co-parent with Carter will be a constant living reminder of her betrayal, a daily poison dripping into her marriage with Finn. I firmly believe she is trying to compartmentalize her mistake, thinking that if the baby lives with Carter and Daphne, she can somehow pretend the affair never happened and keep her perfect life with Finn intact. But I have to ask y'all, do you really think secrets of this magnitude can just be boxed up and given away? The emotional fallout of such a decision seems like a ticking time bomb waiting to explode. I also find myself deeply conflicted about Carter's role in this incredibly messy situation. Carter is a man who has worn his heart on his sleeve for years, a man whose deepest, most profound desire has always been to be a father and have a family to call his own. Now, he is on the verge of getting exactly what he has prayed for, but it is wrapped in deceit and heartbreak. I feel a profound sadness for him because this child, conceived in a moment of weakness, will always be a symbol of his failure to remain faithful to Daphne. I predict that Carter will be torn apart by his overwhelming love for his unborn child and the crushing guilt of how this child came to be. Putting myself in Daphne's shoes for a moment is an exercise in pure emotional torture. Imagine the woman you called your best friend coming to you, pregnant with your husband's child, and offering you that very baby as some sort of twisted peace offering. My personal opinion is that accepting this child would require a level of forgiveness and saintly grace that very few human beings actually possess. How could Daphne look into that innocent baby's eyes every single day and not see the betrayal that almost destroyed her life? It makes me wonder if this gift would actually heal their fractured family or simply serve as a daily agonizing reminder of the knife twisted in her back. Furthermore, we have to talk about the maternal instinct, which is a powerful primal force that Steffy seems to be severely underestimating right now. It is one thing to make a logical, guilt-driven plan in the early days of a pregnancy, but it is an entirely different reality when you hold that newborn infant against your chest for the very first time. I strongly predict that the moment Steffy hears that baby's first cry and feels the weight of her flesh and blood in her arms, all her carefully laid plans will instantly evaporate. She is a fiercely protective mother to Kelly and Hayes, and I simply cannot see her walking away from this child, no matter how desperately she wants to save her marriage to Finn. The impending collision of all these emotional forces is going to send shockwaves through both the Forrester and the Finnegan families, leaving absolute devastation in its wake. I sit here feeling a heavy sense of dread for the explosive confrontations that are inevitably coming our way. Ridge will undoubtedly be torn between his unconditional love for his daughter and his horror at her actions, while Lee Finnegan will likely unleash a fury upon Steffy that we have never seen before. I am evaluating the structural integrity of these families, and honestly, I do not think they can survive a scandal of this magnitude without sustaining permanent, irreparable damage. This entire storyline feels like a tragic Greek play unfolding right before our eyes, where every single character is trapped in a prison of their own making. I feel a deep sense of nostalgia for the days when the conflict seemed simpler, but at the same time, I am completely riveted by the raw, messy humanity on display here. It is fascinating in a morbid sort of way to watch good people make terrible choices and then scramble desperately to avoid the consequences. Will Steffy's desperate gamble to give the baby away actually work, or is she merely delaying the inevitable destruction of her entire world? Let us not forget the profound trauma that Finn and Daphne will now share, a bond forged in the fires of absolute betrayal by the people they loved most. As a longtime viewer, I have seen shared grief push the unlikeliest of people together, and I cannot help but predict that Finn and Daphne might find solace in one another's pain. They are the true victims in this tangled mess, the collateral damage of Steffy and Carter's reckless desires. I find myself rooting for them to find peace, but I am also deeply worried that their shared heartbreak might lead them down a path of revenge or equally destructive choices. What truly breaks my heart is the realization that no matter what happens, an innocent child is going to be born into a whirlwind of chaos, resentment, and profound sadness. This baby, who did not ask to be part of this dramatic saga, will be the living embodiment of a terrible mistake, and that is a tragedy in its own right. I feel a strong protective instinct toward this unborn child, hoping against hope that whoever ends up raising it can put aside their bitter grievances and provide a home filled with genuine love. Do you think these characters are capable of rising above their own selfish pain for the sake of this innocent little life? As I sit here reflecting on all of this, I am just so overwhelmed by the sheer emotional depth of this storyline. It challenges us to think about the limits of forgiveness, the true meaning of motherhood, and the devastating consequences of keeping secrets from the ones we vow to love forever. I am anxiously waiting for the next episodes, my stomach tied in knots, dreading the moment the truth finally explodes, but completely unable to look away. I know that many of you watching feel the exact same way, sharing in this collective anxiety and heartbreak as we watch our beloved characters navigate the darkest chapters of their lives.